So I'm so glad that we did this, right? Like this
Mhm.
needed. People need to hear this conversation.
Needed,
So,
definitely. I wish this was available for me, when
right?
I was for jobs and opportunities,
That's what it
just
is. I think this conversation is all about us allowing people to get the things we didn't get. Right?
mm,
That's what you're supposed to do at
right.
this level though, right? You're supposed to reach back, kind of give back. So let's do a bit of an introduction. So my name is Tremel D. Jones. I am the owner and career coach at TDJ Consulting. My focus is to really make sure that people are finding jobs that they love, where they are valued, where they are paid with their worth. And the biggest thing is you should be using strategy to get to those positions and working smarter, not harder. So today I'm
Mm.
going to be having a conversation with somebody who I literally have known. Dang, has it been 30 years? Because I feel like
Yeah.
did we go to middle school together?
We went
Okay,
to
I
middle
know for
school,
a fact. Did we go to school
7th
together?
grade. 7th grade. Yes.
So it's been a long time. We don't have to say the number of years. That's kind of making me feel away.
We won't put the
But
numbers out there, but
yeah,
yeah.
no need to use the numbers, but we've known each other for a long time. And throughout the years, we kind of kept up with each other professionally, just kind of checking in here and there. And recently, we had a conversation, and it was super impactful. And so we decided we need to record this. So I am going to let you introduce yourself and tell people who you are. Who are you?
Okay. Well, my name is Carita Gee Ratu, and I currently work for a government contracting company called Vectress. Um, we we generally just find the talent. I'm a talent acquisition supervisor for them, and we pretty much find clients and candidates that they need to fulfill whatever job that they need at that point in
Mhm.
time. So we, at the end of the day, we make sure that we find viable candidates for them. So that's pretty much what we do for the company.
So
Yeah.
listen, we are people, we are mothers. There may be a couple of pitter pats that come into the frame to say hi, mommy, and things of that nature, but that's just who we are. Oh my goodness. That's just who we are, and that's the kind of conversation you're going to get from us. Real, natural, what's happening in our lives. So while you have a little man in your lap, I'm going to ask you this first question. Let's talk a little bit about how people can secure positions that you're looking for. And one of the biggest things I consider and I speak with my clients about a lot is effective communication. So I really want to talk to you about like how can candidates communicate, number one, their skills, their expertise, um, and the things that make them the most marketable to hiring professionals. What do you think is the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so the best way for them to do that, I highly recommend them preparing for the interview, okay, as much as possible, okay, because I want to see a person that displays confidence. I
Yes.
need I need the person to understand the nature of the industry,
Yes.
okay. I need them to be able to have um, the understanding of the industry terminology and
Yes.
in speaking that, I can say, okay, this person is serious. They understand the nature of the business. They understand the tools that are being used and how they're being used. So that's what I generally look for, because I can display from that you have a knowledge base, okay,
I love
and you really really understand your job and the needs of the job. So I
that.
definitely look for that, and that will allow me to know, okay, I can essentially look for various roles for them that they would be able to service our company for.
I love that. And I think that I'm so glad that you mentioned that people need to be using the industry terminology because I think sometimes people are just like, I'll just describe it and they'll get it. But you can describe the function of something and not use the
Mhm.
terminology and then it totally be lost on people and it almost make you look like you don't know what you're doing. Right? So it's
Okay.
really important to be embedded in what the industry is saying, and then mimic that, of course, when you're talking to hiring professionals. That's perfect. Let's also talk about the referral process. I talk to my clients a lot about making sure that you create relationships that allow for referrals to happen. How influential do you think networking is in securing those kinds of positions? And like, I don't know if so I don't do a lot of government contract work as far as the coaching that I'm doing. I'm always telling my clients network, 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 make relationships. Is there anything specific that you think people should do when it comes to government contracting and referrals?
Yes. So one of the biggest things that people may not know is um, government contracts. Government they assign over 11 million contracts a year. Okay. So
Wow,
yeah, yes. So 95% of federal contracts are awarded to like small and medium sized businesses.
I didn't know that.
So yes. So the industry is larger than you think, but it's quite small because a lot of the people in the industry, they kind of get rotated around because a lot
Wow.
of people are already embedded in it. So it's good that when we bring in new faces, I mean, we're happy to bring in new people,
Mhm.
especially people that are very persistent, very proactive. I mean, I'm all about if it's an industry that you're trying to tap into,
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to help out anyone that's interested. So when I see that drive and someone taking the initiative to say, hey, Miss G, they reach out to me, whether it be on various platforms or I get emails saying, hey, I'm interested. Can you help me navigate, to this type of job? Okay, let's see what I can do. Okay. And,
I love
we can
that.
kind of go from there. But yes, networking is definitely key in this industry because it can really potentially open up so many opportunities for you. But also, you have to be open to potentially relocating because
Mm,
in the contracting world, we have jobs stateside and internationally. So
okay.
it's one of those things where you have to be open to the idea of potentially having to move somewhere and uproot somewhere. And some people are, some people are not really up for that,
Some people
but
are though, Karita. Like I have some clients now who are telling me that they are interested in going overseas. That they're looking for adventure, that they have, years of experience doing X, Y, and Z, and now they're ready to kind of bloom in that, and that they're open to it being somewhere else. So you're right. Some
mm,
people, they don't want to leave, and that's important for people to identify before they start their hiring search, right? You need to know,
mhm,
where do you want to land? Do you want to
yeah,
stay in the city that you're currently in? Are you open to something where you're making a substantial move overseas? And if so, make sure that's part of your communication, right?
yes, absolutely. And when you allow recruiters or talent acquisition managers, supervisors, whatever they are, if you allow them to know that you are open to relocate, the opportunities are endless, endless.
That's amazing.
Okay,
So
so
let
that's
me ask
really
you this,
key.
is you said this is kind of off script too. You said this, but I want to get real specific about the do's and the don'ts. You mentioned that it's really great for people to reach out, right? About positions or just create some relationships. And you said
Yeah.
that it's okay to do that on platforms. I imagine LinkedIn would be a prominent platform for that, and an email. But can you give me some do's and don'ts on what not to say in those emails?
Oh, do not, and I repeat, do not name drop. Okay,
Oh,
I'm telling you that could be the death of you. You
now
cannot
talk
name
to
drop.
me. Be really specific when you say name drop, because I do tell people to at least give a caveat to how you got this person's contact information. But I
Mhm.
imagine when you say name drop, I'm hearing a bit of ego and a little bit more going on in that conversation. What do you mean?
So when I mean name drop, if I reach out, if, I'm sorry, if the person reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'm interested in this particular job. I haven't received any feedback. Can you find out what's going on with me?" I may go the distance for you and look up the job to see what's going on with it. Look into the feed, to see, hey, okay, what's going on with this particular job? Maybe let me see if if they're still looking for candidates in here. Because of course sometimes people tend to waste their time. They're applying for different jobs, and they may have already found a candidate for the position. So
Yeah.
I make extreme links to look and check for you and let you know, okay, here's the contact, here's the actual recruiter that's assigned to this particular job. You reach out to them, you market yourself the best way you can to them so that they can get you, a potential interview, or
Yeah.
they can consider you for the job because they may have over 100 candidates. You may
Exactly.
get overlooked out of that 100. Okay. But you made an effort to reach out to me. If you use my name, they don't know me. I don't know them because there's over several recruiters that work for the company. So, I-
So what
for
I'm hearing
me,
you say is
and
you're offering advice, you're not offering the job.
the job, right?
That makes
Exactly.
sense. I do have a lot of people who will tell me, "Oh, well, I sent an email and they didn't get back to me." And I'm like, "Okay, well, read me the context of this email." And they'll be like, "Such and such told me to apply and that I was a shoe in."
Mm,
Why
yeah.
would you say that? You have to
No.
understand that when we're talking about creating relationships, when we're talking about referrals, referrals do not guarantee that you're going to get the position. This is just you having an outlet of somebody to connect that has a name, right? A lot of times when we're
Right.
in the position where we're wanting to send a thank you or follow up on an application, we don't have a name to associate with who we should talk to. And so you having this referral literally just puts a name to where you want to send that feedback, but it doesn't mean that you are now to sit at your desk, put your feet up, and wait for the job to come through. That's not what's happening. Okay. So then let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about the interview. Um, I talk a lot to my clients about interview. I love how you said earlier people need to prepare. Clients will tell me, "Oh, I'm great under pressure. I'll just wait," and I'm just like everybody else is too. So that's not going to make you stand out. So I agree 100%. People should definitely prepare. But are there any other differences between like interviewing for contract positions and permanent positions that people should be aware of?
Yes, yes. So from my experience, having 5 years, between about 5, 6 years in the industry of contracting, I would say from my experience, I've seen the interviews be more personal.
Mm,
They generally want to get to know who you are, what you represent, and the the only essential question they have is, "Tell me about yourself."
yeah.
They want to essentially know your career background. That's
Yes.
it. Don't give them less, don't give them too much, but just give them enough. Give them the meat and potatoes that they need to
Yeah.
clearly know that you are a viable candidate for this position. Like
And I
that,
actually walk my clients through a formula on how to answer that question because some people are under the impression that when they say, "Tell me about yourself," that it's just a polite way for you to talk about your background as a person and not specific to the candidacy. And so they're saying all kinds of stuff like, "Oh, I love dogs and, after work, I like to run." Nobody cares. That's not what they're asking. What they're asking is for you to draw a through line from your past, present, and future and how that connects with the organization. So it means like, what did you used to do that is connected to what we're asking you to do? What are you wanting to do to expand that position? And what are you hoping to do once you get it that will lead you into your future? And you should do that within like 30 to 45 seconds. It should not be this long, drawn out, you starting from middle school, telling me your whole life story. And we sitting there, got to go get, some water because you done sat there and smoked us out. So I think people need to understand, tell me about yourself is a strategic question they're asking you. And if you aren't answering as such, you've lost them right from the beginning.
completely understand the assignment, please, because at that right there will tell me, okay, this person did not understand, this person did not do their research, they did not prepare, thoroughly. They're telling me about their dogs, they're telling me about, their families going on these extended vacations and things like that. That's I yeah. That
I
doesn't
totally
get you get you a foot in the door with me because I
not at all.
definitely, yeah, I'm definitely looking um for you to draw my ears into what it is that you're telling me and to keep my attention,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that's exactly, I'm really trying to finalize and gather whether you're going to be an asset or a liability.
Exactly. Exactly. And we know since that's that first question, I mean, it sets the tone for the rest of the interview too, right? So you can
Yeah.
get them really inquisitive about you and actually have the interviewer so excited they'll start asking, more questions because of what you said in that first answer. So I like the fact that you mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit about online platforms. For me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I hated LinkedIn when it first came out. I'm not much of a social media person. Listen, I don't want to be on all these social platforms all the time. Got to click all the buttons. I hate it. But I have come to understand the importance and the strategy around using LinkedIn specifically. But I am really interested in specific to the kind of positions that you are looking to fill or hire for. Are there other platforms that people should be paying attention to? Is it LinkedIn? And if so, what can a candidate do to show up well on these platforms?
I'm glad you asked that question. So, today's digital landscape, there are the two useful platforms that we tend to use in government contracting quite often. And these are for jobs that specifically can either go both ways, can either require a clearance or do not require a clearance. So for that, we tend to use Indeed.com
Hmm.
and we also use LinkedIn.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to definitely tell you this too. Do not, once again, limit yourself on
Yeah.
LinkedIn if you want to get the attention of recruiters. If when I'm sourcing for candidates, I'm looking for candidates that are telling me they are willing to relocate.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for. I can't limit it to one city, state, things like that. I have to open up the parameters because if not, I'm not going to get the number of candidates that I need, you know, to look through to see,
Yeah.
especially if I have a position that's hard to fill. You
Okay.
know, I, very hard to fill position. I need to expand my search. Have
So what I'm hearing you say just in that area is we should probably include that information on the LinkedIn profile, correct?
to. Yes, you
Okay.
need to add that. And there's an entry for that on your profile.
Yeah.
To add that, even if you aren't really looking to, you know, to relocate, but putting that on there gets the attention at least so that you never know your situation may change at some point
Exactly.
in time. And, at some point, okay, if say, for instance, you do get the interview, okay, and you say, you know what, they offered me the position, but right now I'm not looking to relocate, that's fine. So
Yeah.
when you discuss that with the recruiter and let them know, but they could still use you maybe at some point in time for another opportunity within your area. You never know.
Hmm.
You just let them know that look, not at this time. I'm not looking to relocate. My situation has changed right now, whatever the case may be. But if um, my situation does change in the future, you
Hmm.
know, uh, would you mind me keeping you, as a contact? Sure, that's good. That you've made your first network in the contract world, at least.
And I think
So
also, so definitely what I'm hearing you say is make sure that it's prominent on your profile. Secondly, it's always okay to say, okay, I'm not at this time willing, but it sounds like you really should be keeping that marking up to date, right? If something changes, go and change it back to I'm not willing to locate. But what I'm also hearing is some people, maybe the reason they're saying they're not willing to relocate, it may be specific to the area. So if somebody is looking to go in a specific area and then they get, called into an interview or they get into a conversation and maybe the location is different than what they had anticipated, I could totally understand someone saying, you know what, this is actually not in my scope, but could we still stay in contact? But let me ask you this: when it comes to utilizing these profiles, and we haven't talked about this before, this is me totally being inquisitive. I know that there is an easy apply button on LinkedIn, but
Yes.
I tell my clients not to use it for positions that they're very interested in, because I know that all that does is mark the candidate as interested, and it does not send the kind of detailed information that they would get if they went directly to y'all's portal and did the online application. Is that true?
I am glad that you brought that up too. That is very true because essentially, if they do select the easy apply option, we are able to see it on our ATS system that they did the easy apply option. Now, what will happen is when we start to expand our when we start to expand our search more and seeing that there's some candidates that haven't essentially applied to our portal directly, then we look at that. We look at that option, the Indeed candidates that apply to the easy apply option or tab. So we do filter through those and look through those as well. But that's when we've exhausted our options with the candidates that applied in the portal that may not
Yeah.
be full candidates for us. But for me, I always essentially I look at both. And what I end up doing is those easy apply applicants, I actually send those to the hiring manager via email with their resume because I can download it. Okay. And then from there, I can say, okay, um, reference the resume that I've sent to you and let me know if you're interested in this candidate so that I can invite them to apply to the portal
Yeah.
because they cannot get an interview unless they apply to our actual
Exactly.
portal. So
I love
that's
that you're doing that for people. It's just that I worry that everybody's not doing that due diligence on the other side of the hiring process. And what's ending up happening is you're missing a step as an applicant, right? You still have to essentially apply through their portal. So I tell
yeah,
clients to do both, or just go straight to y'all's portal and fully apply, simply because it saves you a step if you're already there, right? But
yeah,
I'm so glad that we talked about that.
yes, yes. No, that's a good tip though to encourage them to apply directly to the portal because it is important because we cannot actually initiate an interview without
Wow.
them applying to the actual portal.
And that's huge, right? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're hoping for. It's going to prolong the process. I don't want that at all. I want to get that call to say, hey, will you like to schedule something? Okay. So, lastly, let's talk a little bit about customization, right? Tailoring your applications for the positions that you're applying for. I work with candidates. I help them to write resumes. I help them to write cover letters in some of my packages. Um, and I also talk them through the application process. And I do tell them that they need to make changes for every single application. I know that people are often thinking, well, I got to do all this extra work. I tell my clients, if you do a good job writing your resume, there's one section at the top third of your resume called the branding section. This is where you're going to be putting your strengths. This is where you're going to be putting all the information that's really specific and pertinent to the position. If this resume is done really well, that's the only section that you'll have to change. So it shouldn't be this very long and drawn out thing where you're starting from the beginning to, change your resume. But how important is it for those clients to be making those tweaks and authorizations for each application that they're applying to? Does that make sense on your side?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it does. Yes and no. Okay. So I
Okay.
feel it is according to the job. If you're looking at making a career change, you're going to need to tweak it, definitely. But if you're staying and you're trying to stay in line with, say, logistics, or you're trying to stay in line with IT, keep it that way. You may have to do a couple of updates to your current position, but
Yeah.
there's not much you can do unless you're altering a career change. So with that, I highly recommend try to make sure those keywords are in there. If you have
Yes.
certifications, those are in there. That's very important because a lot of times I've come across candidates that don't necessarily have those certifications listed in there, but they
Mm.
have them.
Yes.
So, a lot of things that you feel that may not be important are very important,
Very.
key for the position. So, displaying that you are computer savvy, certain things in there, AS400, Microsoft, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those things, add that in there. If you have those, those key tools that you're really good at, put that in there. You know what I'm saying? Those are good things to have, essentially to have. Um, at the, I typically feel like at the top of your resume, you display those key titles that you represent pretty much. Whether if you're in IT, if it's networking systems, you
Yes.
you pretty much put that up there so that I see that. You know what I'm saying? Noting, okay, this is their background. Um, you know, talent acquisition, recruiting. I see that at the very top, noting,
Good.
you're trying to do operations, whatever it is that you associate yourself with in terms of the market, please place that on there because that's what I see at the very top, and then from there, my eyes start to go, down from there, and
Yeah.
it just it. I'm looking for keywords too, and I'm looking for the titles, and then I'm looking at the details and things that you may have done associated with that title. So it's very important that you provide all the information and keywords and understanding that information that you're putting on the resume too.
Yes.
Very important.
Ooh, we people will. My pet peeve is, and I think this is probably an additional step. I do work with some executive clients and some upper level clients that it's important for us to take this extra step. But for
Mhm.
me, I don't want to see a keyword bank. That just tells me that you know the words people are saying, the buzzwords. You're not giving me any context as to how you're utilizing those things. You just put them on there. How do I know you're actually doing these things? There needs to be information that backs up how you utilize these in your tasks, what you've done in accordance with them. So I like to have a section that basically takes those top tasks, those top keywords, but adds a little context to how you've excelled in those areas.
Yes, yes. I mean, and the thing I do also look for as well in resumes is um, pretty much certain things like what you actually did that made a difference in that company, whether
Yes.
it's something to deal with metrics, structuring modifications, how you may have saved the company money,
Yes.
the attrition, like how did you impact that company? I need those success stories. Like
Yeah.
that is vital to me in terms of um, how much value you may add to this company.
Huge. I tell my clients to literally have an accomplishment section. This is not similar to most people who will have an accomplishment section at like the top of their resume. What I ask my clients to do is that we create a literal subsection under every position marked accomplishments. And this is where we put things that say the data. I increased sales by X% doing X, Y, and Z, right?
Mm,
And I tell people numbers sell you better than words ever will. So if you are going to write out the word 200%, I might not see that. But if you're putting the number 200 and then the percent side, that's going to catch me. I'm going to want to know, well, you did what for 200%, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
always pushing my clients to be really data oriented on their resume and in those accomplishments, and even throughout the tasks that they've done, creating accomplishment statements that makes
Mhm.
it really easy to understand how well they did tasks that they were assigned to do instead of
Mhm.
you just saying you did tasks.
Yes, yes, very, very important. I mean, it, eh, I feel like as you you grow, you start to develop an understanding of these things and how necessary it is.
Yes.
So it, over time, your resumes start to get better and better. And I
Yes.
feel like, um, you know, with interviews, it needs to be the same thing. You start to get better and better at them, so you want to try to um, really perfect those resume skills and those interview skills over time. And you will be amazed, what I'm saying? Even if you don't necessarily need a job right now, just every now and then you apply for something, interview, just to, make sure you brushing up on those skills, because
Yeah.
it's very, very competitive, with the market a lot of times out here. So you definitely want to set yourself, you know, apart from
Yeah.
the people and still making sure that, you're at least up to date with how things are being done this day and age in
Exactly.
terms of, resumes and interviews and things of that nature. So yeah, I highly agree that your resume is going to be, it can make or break you when you get. I've even seen a resume with hilarious, emails too. Please make sure you have a professional email. I don't want to see Superman
Oh
or
no.
yeah, Superman or Spider-Man 2410 or 007. Yeah, it's just I, please get a
Oh
professional
my
email.
goodness. And I get it, right? People have a lot of emails, but there's no cap. No one's going to come to your house and say, "Excuse me, you have too many email addresses. We need to take you," right? That's not going to happen. It's worth it to create one email address that's professional that you only use for job search. And it may lie dormant when you're not searching, but it's super helpful so that you only see the things you need to see in that email feed when you are looking for work. So take the extra step and please don't apply to nobody's job using your Superman 007 email.
Please, for my
Oh my
sake, because
goodness.
I see that at the top. Like I said, my eyes, I work from the top down, and
Yeah.
then I'm looking, I'm like, and that just stands out, to me. So it's just, yeah, those
Well, it's
things.
like what you said earlier, right? You're looking for the signs of whether this person is going to make or break the opportunity that you have to offer. So, I mean, those are red flags. Those are red flags. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep you much longer. I have one last question before we get out of here. And I want to make sure that we've had this conversation. I'm hoping that people take the advice that we've offered. Lastly, where can they go to find positions that you are looking to hire for?
Yes. So if you are looking for job opportunities with my company, you definitely want to go to v2xgo.com. Okay. Um, or you can email me. My email address is Carita, spelled C as in cat, Arita .gee at vectrus.com. Vecterus. So, yeah, that's the way to contact me. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me under my LinkedIn name. It's Carita G, and I'm also under the Vectress portal as well. So either
Okay.
you have v2xgo.com or you can look up vectress.com as well, either or.
I'll make sure that all the information you just shared as to how to get in touch with you is available to people so that they can easily click and link to it. But I really appreciate you having this conversation with me. I think that people need to hear this. I wish somebody would have sat us down, right? Like, how much further would we have gotten if we had done this early on?
I'm telling you, it would have been a gem, like for me to have this type of information
Yeah.
um, in my early entry level years, because my goal with the jobs coming out of undergrad or actually grad school was, okay, I'm going to be in this job 2 years and then I want to try to move up. That was the goal essentially over the years. Because, if I stay stagnant, I'm going to be in a job, making 30K for several years, which is what I did not want,
No.
so that's one of the things, like, you have to write down your goals in terms of what it is you want to do. If you're looking to stay with a company, or if you have a timeline in mind, like, these things are, really good to kind of keep in mind, especially students that come out of college. You definitely want to set goals for yourself, and not be complacent. So I really, really strongly suggest that, because, like I said, there's so much available for
Yeah.
people now than it was when you and I were, in
So
college or in school. So much is available now, so there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever.
none whatsoever. And so when you're talking about people setting goals for their career, I think that's important, not only just for college students, I think at any point in your career, right? And the reason being is, if you get to the point where you don't know where your career is going, one of the issues that happens when that occurs is burnout. Burnout is you not knowing what's next and getting tired of doing the same thing over and over. You're not challenged, you're hoping that things get better, but there's no real strategy to make them better, and you're just kind of waiting it out. That's burnout. The way that you can fix that is to create a strategic plan. I offer a product called Strategic Career Mapping. It is basically long-term career planning with strategy embedded, right? And the thing about that is, all the things that Carita is talking about, I cover all of these, because you can't just show up and expect other people to put you on. You really have to be the person who's championing that. And a lot of us were not taught how to sell ourselves. So we usually can do it for our friends, but it is hard to do it for ourselves. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Creed. I appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to all the things you're doing today.
I so appreciate it. This
All
has
right.
been really good.